Have you ever been so in love with a game, yet so utterly infuriated with the people who created it? Well, that's how I feel about Titanfall 2. A game that was effectively abandoned by its developers and publisher. A game that was both critically acclaimed and underachieving, with the second bit being its own developer's fault. I've wanted to make a video exploring Titanfall 2 for a very long time now, because it is a game that is very special to me, and actually the one that got me started making videos in the first place.
Really, with this weapon you just need to spam and hope for the best. Like that.
Yeah, that was actually me. Anyway, back to the video. Upon playing the game again, I was just as impressed as I was when I first played it in 2016. However, for us to fully understand Titanfall 2 as we explore the game, it's best that we find out a little about where the game came from. It's 2002, all of a sudden there's a shock to the gaming industry. A new company emerges, founded by Vince Zampella and Jason West, called Infinity Ward. In the following year they released their debut title, Call of Duty, that would then go on to become one of the biggest games in the industry.
Major fracture detected.
With many great games coming out of the franchise and some real stinky ones, don't forget that.
Brother, this guy stinks!
However, their removal from the company led to them creating Respawn Entertainment, after which they would then get to work on creating their first game. Away from the often modern or historical settings of Call of Duty, this game was to be set in the future. And it was to take a wildly different direction in terms of movement, and it also was to have giant robots. The game was called Titanfall, and it was an Xbox and Windows exclusive game, releasing on March 11th, 2014. After the success of this game, they then moved on to their next project, which was to be Titanfall 2. And now that you understand a little bit more of where Titanfall came from, I think we should begin our journey through the game, and where better to start than the beginning of the game. Titanfall 2 starts off with a live action cutscene, which usually would not be so important, but for Titanfall this cutscene is actually crucial in setting up the bond between the pilot and the Titan. In Titanfall 1, due to it being multiplayer only, there was much less room for exploring this part of the story, and in Titanfall 2 that is pretty much the main part of the story. But yeah, what is Titanfall about? Well, we play as Jack Cooper, a rifleman in the militia, the equivalent of the grunt enemies that we fight throughout the game. Cooper is also training to become a pilot, however he isn't quite ready yet, so let's actually start the game. That is probably one of my favourite openings to any game ever. There's just something about it that I absolutely love, and I can't put my finger on why. Upon landing, we see a huge difference in the power experienced by the normal soldiers in this game and the pilots. We aren't a pilot here, but just a normal marine. Not a super soldier, but just a man. And I'm very glad that this is how the opening level played out, as it demonstrates just how strong a pilot is in comparison to a normal person. As we run through fighting enemy soldiers, we are almost killed by a Titan. Until our mentor, Lastimosa, saves us and gives us an injection.
Okay when you wake up.
Lastimosa, hostile Titans inbound.
Oh, he also gets jumps and dies. Lol. The group that killed him are the Apex Predators. No, not that. Absolutely not that. They're a group of mercenaries who act as the boss fights in this game. Now that Lastimosa is dead, you're given the role of acting pilot, and it turns out the injection he gave you is the same one that the pilots receive, and the one that makes them really strong. The rest of the level is played out by you getting batteries to power up BT-7274, our Titan, and the one that you're going to be spending the entire game with. In this level, we get the hang of fighting basic enemies and the cloak ability, which unfortunately is the only ability that we actually have in the campaign. I really wish there was pickups to the other abilities, because that would have been awesome. We meet up with some friendly militia Titans, and this gives us a great opportunity to really get the hang of playing as a Titan, which is suitably slower than pilot combat, but it makes for a great experience, and it's never clunky.
Titan down.
As we go further, we enter this huge plant full of toxic substances, and eventually get split up from BT. Along the way, we get taunted by the first boss of the game, Kane.
You were not invited to Kane's party.
And that's why you're dead.
Now, there is somewhat challenging moments in this part of the game, but once we reach the boss, it is laughably easy. And this is something that you may notice further into the game as well. Oh, and I was playing on hard, by the way. After Cain is defeated, we take his radio, allowing us to listen to the enemy for the rest of the game. I just love the music in this game. Stefan Barton did an amazing job at creating a soundtrack that conveys a feeling of fighting against an enemy with significantly greater odds than yourself, and I can't believe more people don't talk about the music in this game. Leaving the waste plant and further exploring into this large manufacturing facility, it is at first unclear what's being created here, but this place is swarming with enemies in our way, so naturally, some fighting starts. Again, we also hear from another of our villains in this level. This time it is Ash. But yeah, we also get separated from BT in this level and have to continue through the rest of the manufacturing line to regroup with him. And this level perfectly demonstrates how Titanfall 2's levels are built around the movement system, and not the other way around. We're seen using different parts of the assembly line to move from platform to platforming, and I think it's a really interesting take on a factory level like this. And it's a moment where you see Titanfall differentiate itself from most other games out there. Once we've gotten to the end of said assembly line, however, we're told by Ash that we're effectively going to be used as a test subject. We climb our way up and watch the room around us slowly be pieced together into what looks like a giant shoot house. And this right here, I love this.
Loading scenario 127 in Dynamic Simulation Dome 314.
Now, we shall see how impressive you truly are.
We're given test subjects to fight alongside us, which are actually our fellow militia soldiers. With them, we have to defeat waves and waves of IMC grunts, specters, and even get introduced to a new enemy, the Reaper. On foot, the Reaper is terrifying. In a Titan, not so much, but the first time you encounter one is incredibly scary. After mowing our way through the enemy soldiers, a hole gets opened in the wall, allowing us to escape and continue to find BT. We find that we weren't the only ones who've been stuck in this situation, as BT was seemingly in the same position. Once boarding BT, we go and find our way out of the facility, but not before Ash can interrupt us.
Price on your head, pilot. Dead or alive, that makes you worth something to me.
Hello, I like money.
Again, this boss is really easy, and it's actually the one I was the most disappointed with. I think Ash is a really interesting character, and the whole build up through this level was great, and had it been more challenging, it could have been such a more memorable boss.
Good, we're one step closer to you shitting on it.
Ash's death here is also why I don't like her inclusion in Apex Legends though. It made her death feel like it meant nothing, as if at any point during Titanfall 2's story she could have just come back. But whatever, I can't do anything about it, I guess. Welcome to what many have described as that level. The rest of the levels have started off for the most part with some kind of combat, but not here. We find ourselves walking through this abandoned IMC facility until suddenly there's a flash and we're in what appears to be a flashback. Only it isn't a flashback. We just time traveled. Whatever happened to this place now seems to be causing actually, I can't be bothered. I'll just let BT say it.
What just happened?
There are distortions throughout this facility, and they appear to be causing a rift in time. I advise caution until we have further information.
We also learn of what this place actually even is.
What is this place?
The IMC has multiple scientific research facilities throughout the frontier. However, this particular one is unlike any known to the militia.
Oh, we found Major Anderson too. After Lastimosa died, we was given his mission, which was to regroup with Anderson, but as Cooper said himself...
BT, I found Anderson. He's, in the ceiling.
Objective complete. We have rendezvoused with Major Anderson.
So, we make our way to the other side of Anderson and pick up the device he had, which allows us to time travel between the present and the past. God only knows how they got this to work. For reference, this game was made in the Source engine, so basically Half-Life 2.
You got here at a bad time.
But this device is the reason why affecting cars is that level. It makes for some really interesting combat encounters with the player having to decide whether they fight the IMC or the monsters that inhabit the place in the present. It also adds a lot more to the platforming segments, as we often are forced to time travel to make it across certain gaps and get into certain rooms. Upon making our way outside, we end up fighting more IMC until eventually, in the past, the Ark blows up, making for one of the coolest looking parts of the game.
BT?
However, when this section is done, we learn that the IMC intends to use the fold weapon to destroy the planet Harmony, which is bad. Oh, and the time travel thing broke. But I am actually okay with this, because this is something Titanfall 2 does really well. The gimmicks never drag on, and this makes it a lot more memorable when you do get to use stuff like this. You know, it just prevents the game from becoming stale.
Pilot, I see the beacon up ahead.
Honestly, this game looks so good, especially for one that is 8 years old. I've been informed that I worded that very poorly. We have found some friendly soldiers, and they tell us that we need to send a message to the rest of the militia. But the beacon is shut down, and we need to find an Ark tool to restart it. The dialogue in this game between BT and Cooper really shines in this level.
I think I'm going to need some new underpants.
Copy that. Noted for the next supply drop.
I think they did a really good job at making me care so much about a literal robot. The combat in this mission is great. It's a lot more Call of Duty like here, with the spaces being so much more cramped and less spacious than usual. So, we get the Ark tool. It for the most part just acts as a story element to justify us having these cool platforming abilities. But that's nothing. We get to the greatest moment in this game ever. Like I said, further into the level there's a lot more open combat. And we also get to kill this level's villain, Arnold Schwarzenegger.
All security units, this is Richter. Get to the beacon now.
He's also not safe from being too easy either. Here in this level, we're pretty much in the Titan for the entirety of it, but we do get this really cool intro.
Listen up. The IMC have developed a fold weapon. It has the power to destroy entire worlds, but without its power source, the Ark, it is inoperable. Your mission is to capture the Ark before it can leave the airbase. Marauder Corps, weapons hot. Stand by for Titanfall.
We said it!
Despite this being such a great, memorable level though, I don't really have a lot to say about it. It's just a little bit more of that sweet, sweet Titan action. Oh, and the big bad guys take the Ark. Welcome to another absolutely fire mission. I really love the intro to this level, where we see all the different ships and stuff flying around.
Visual clear. I've got good tone.
That couldn't be. No, it can't be. Another boss. But not yet, because we need to board the IMC's ship, and to do that, BT suggests, you guessed it,
Are you sure about this, BT?
Trust me. Good luck.
We take out the guns on the IMC ship with the help of the 6-4. With their help, we eventually get up into the control room of the ship and steer it, which is a great set piece, I think. We get picked up by BT, but then...
Voodoo 1, Viper's on station. Your journey ends here, pilot. The skies belong to me. Nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. Tally, engaging bandit.
This fight is great. Whilst like the other boss fights, it isn't really that challenging. It's one of the better ones in the game just due to its presentation. So, we kill Viper and get ready to do our second fastball of the level.
Adjusting for wind resistance. Calculating.
I let that scene play out in full because it's one of my favourite moments in the game. Viper isn't like the other boss fights, he has flight on his side, and he decides to use that to his advantage. Not before getting shot in the face, however. Oh, aside from that, we crashed, by the way. Unfortunately, we was found by the game's main villain, Cuban Blisk.
Hi, Titan. You're gonna open up and give me what I want.
Voice command. Not recognized.
And this is actually the first time we get to see him face to face. And honestly, when I first played the game, this interrogation was pretty tense. And heartbreaking. Because, well...
Nice try, lad. Say goodnight.
So, we take the SERE kit from BT, giving us the aimbot gun from the multiplayer. And yeah, this moment is a really fun power fantasy.
You're headed in the right direction, just keep moving.
We also did take BT's data core, which comes in handy because Briggs tells us that there's another remaining Vanguard class Titan in the hangars. It gets sent down to us and we get the amusing comment from BT in his new body.
Glad to have you back in one piece, BT.
Over 25,000, actually.
Making our way through the remaining enemies, we get to Sloan.
I think our militia pilot's trying to be a hero. He's all yours. Keep the salvage.
Who said anything about salvage? I'll do this one for free.
British, innit? Again, she's another really easy boss fight, and it doesn't take that long.
Disruption of the left mechanical units, including Titans, will be severe.
Cooper, get the Ark out of there before it launches. Hurry!
But I know what you're thinking. When do we fight Blisk? Well, we don't. We just get kind of a little bit teased about the possibility of fighting him in future. That's never going to happen. Yeah, we need to destroy the Ark, and we were supposed to do that with BT, but of course, Protocol 3.
BT, what are you doing?
Trust me.
BT!
BT has died, and we have one final interesting set piece, where we have to use the rubble and remains of the explosion to navigate our way through and get to Briggs to be picked up and get off the planet before it explodes.
Get us out of here!
Titanfall 2 is one of my favourite video games ever made. It was the very first game I ever pre-ordered, and it was the game that got me into making YouTube videos. And it's one that I will enjoy for the rest of my life. It's a shame to see the possibility of a third game be so unsure. And as a final message to EA and Respawn, make Titanfall 3!